This is the Grow Your Clinic podcast from Clinic Mastery. We help progressive health professionals to lead inspired teams, transform client experiences, and build clinics for good. Now, it's time to grow your clinic.
Well, welcome back to another episode of the Grow Your Clinic podcast. Jack O'Brien, your host, with me in the saddle, co-host Ben Lynch. How are you today, Ben?
Doing well. Thanks, Jack O'Brien. I know we talked about that in another episode. I've got a little coffee here. This is PJ Masks, though. I'm drinking out of my son Tommy's cup. Just enough for my espresso.
Perfect. Baby Chino in the morning, espresso by afternoon. Hey, I've got my blue espresso cup here today. For those watching on YouTube, you can join along in the coffee conversations. I'm also drinking, actually, Ben, from my new water bottle here from the brand Yeti. I know you're a brand man, and so the brand Yeti, I'm on the train. Hey, enough of that. Let's talk about recruitment. And so, more broadly, the Grow Your Clinic book will be coming to a bookstore, Amazon store, Audible library near you at some point in time in the coming months. And we want to unpack a few of the chapters and segments. So can you tell us about the 7 degrees and how the books are written around that framework and which degree we're going to hone in on today?
So the 7 degrees really represent 7 functional areas of growing your clinic. They're the hats that people talk about. You know, I'm wearing many different hats in business. I'm going from different needs of my team, of my clients, of the clinic. And so we've called it the 7 degrees. Mm-hmm. And in those 7 degrees, we need to set up various systems for sustainability so that as we grow, there's consistency in what we do. And one of those degrees is team. In particular, one of the key focuses as you grow is being able to bring on more of the right people to the team, be able to train them and then nurture them in their journey in their career. So the 7 degrees, and kind of play on language for us as health professionals as well. We go to university to get a degree, multiple degrees perhaps, depending on the path that you chose, but we didn't get a business degree. And so these are kind of like almost micro degrees that you would go through understanding team. So let's go through the 7 degrees. We've got personal mastery, which is absolutely you've got to be the best version of yourself. The next is looking at purpose. So making sure you're super clear on the values, your painted picture, as Cameron Herold would say, also that you've got your core purpose set up. We then go into team, making sure you're leading inspired teams, attracting more of those ideal team members and nurturing them in their career. We then look at systems, the backbone of consistency.
Right.
Consistency is all about brand, so super important, especially as you scale up. Then we go into finance. We've got to make sure you're growing profitably and sustainably, and managing money becomes quite important as soon as you start a business, and especially as you grow, complexity can creep in. So finance. Then we have brand, which is a lot to do with marketing and also your position within the market. So playing that longer game and how you attract more ideal clients, team members and partners in particular. And then degree 7 is client experiences where we look at creating raving fans, not just people who are satisfied. That's cool. That's absolutely what we need to do, but raving fans. So they're the 7 degrees.
Nice. So if we can pick on team then today, and there are 3 components that make up the team degree, but specifically we'll cover the rest in future episodes. Today, I want you to paint us a picture about attracting ideal team members. And so in the book, we unpack the ecosystem that clinics need to attract ideal team members. So what are some of the components that make up the ecosystem of team attraction?
With the ecosystem, another word you could use is your industry or your community as well, just so that people are familiar with the vocab we're using here. Your ecosystem lives and breathes. It is infinite. And so what we're looking to do is continue to have a presence and a profile within that ecosystem so that we attract people. We could look at it from the perspective of a couple of different stages. We often talk about team members, when they come to us, they have certain options or pathways when they're part of the team, a clinical mentor, or they buy into a clinic, or they start a satellite clinic, whatever the case may be, whatever their pathway is. The reality is people are going through a pathway before they even get to us.
Sure.
So that's kind of the premise of the ecosystem, is going, let's think about the pathway from first them even being aware of you all the way through to them joining the team and accepting the job.
And I think it's important. I'm thinking about a lot of the clinic owner conversations that we have, and it's, recruitment is a hot button topic at the moment, but, in all fairness, recruitment's been a hot button topic since time immemorial. I love that analogy of comparing recruiting to fishing versus hunting. It's just no longer good enough to be able to cast the line, dangle the bait, and wait for the big whale to jump on. We've got to go hunting. We've got to go farming. We've got to go cultivating, in your words, the ecosystem, so that we are attracting ideal team members, not waiting for ideal team members. So what are some of the steps or parts of the process in that ecosystem of attraction that we'll be covering in the book that clinic owners can consider?
Let's look at 5 stages. I think we've referenced this to various points in some of the content as part of our Facebook group, as part of our YouTube channel, as part of this podcast as well. So five stages. It's never as cut and dry. It's more colorful and complex. But as a guide, 5 stages: awareness, interest, evaluation, consideration, and enrollment. They're the 5 stages. So awareness is about getting targets. Essentially, we're targeting our ideal team members. We're showing up in front of them. We're creating a presence. So first, we've got to know who they are, our ideal team members, know their wants, needs, frustrations, challenges, and where they are in their greatest concentration so that we can show up in there. Right. So you know them and they know you. Interest is then about creating leads. The principle here is about capturing connections and starting conversations. At the end of the day, now they're aware of you. Now we start to build some interest by actually getting to know one another. And so essentially think of it like building a database of people who could prospectively join the team later on, right? Then step 3, evaluation. This is where they are evaluating what do they want or what don't they want, / what do they need or what don't they need. So let's look at an example. If you're a new graduate or you're about to graduate, you are starting to contemplate, what do I want in my job, in my career? And I'm hearing all sorts of things from my lecturers or my tutors, my peers perhaps, through my own work experience, etc. So I'm starting to actually evaluate what are the key components of a role that I want. Just if you're like going to look at getting a new water bottle like the Yeti or a fridge or a washing machine, like you're actually starting to weigh up what are maybe the features, benefits, the components of a job.
Sure. So pause there. Why is it important for clinic owners to put themselves in the shoes of the new grad in your example?
I think we need to be seen as the preferred place to work.
Right.
And I think when you resonate with people by understanding their needs, that speaks to empathy. We do it every day in terms of seeing patients. The same is true. The principles are the same. We're just translating them across to team. So be their trusted advisor is the principle there for evaluation. Advise them, be their guidance through navigating those decisions.
Right. So you're not necessarily going to be their choice, but you're helping them get to a choice that's hopefully you. Yeah, and we'll unpack that more in the book, the stories and analogies and strategies for clinics. Okay, what about the rest of the ecosystem?
So we've got consideration, and the objective here is about creating candidates. So this is much more around that. We post the job ad, or someone's actually just knocked on our door and said, hey, I'd love to work with you, or they've sent you a DM and they're like, do you have a place available for me to work? The principle here is sell them a career, not a year. We've done some content on that before, but packaging up and future pacing where they could be, because it's at this point where they're contemplating a few options.
Sure.
And so rather than kind of go on that transactional level of like, I'm going to offer you something better, in this current role, which is kind of pitched at a year, I'm going to future pace you for the years or the career rather than just the single year. So that's the more formal hiring process that people would be aware of, where they've put up a job ad, they've got a list of applicants, they're going through the shortlist process, the interview process, etc.
As you're unpacking it, I'm thinking about in the book, what you're saying there is the fourth part of the ecosystem is historically the first part, but people miss the first three components. And so we'll be able to unpack what that looks like. Complete the loop for us.
Probably just the extension there, Jack. When we did some research into the community, we identified kind of two areas that were needs of the community. Number one, they weren't getting enough applicants. It was kind of like this lack of applicants, or there was a lack of quality applicants for the role. So what we're trying to do is, with that work in the first three steps, is build it so we're getting more applicants and more of the right applicants. So that makes that hiring process easier. The final step is enrollment, and the objective is creating members. We're creating members of the team. The principle there is package personalized and prompt welcomes. So another example, and why I say prompt, is that if you're hiring a new grad and they don't graduate for 3 months or 2 months, and then we've got to wait for their registration, maybe they entertain the idea of going somewhere else. Maybe something changes in their life. So we want to get a prompt welcome and integration into the team. And there's a few different ways to do that, but also a personalized welcome for them into the team is super key. Now, I've spoken about new grads there as an example. Not everyone's after new grads. If you're after someone more experienced, the same is true. Personalized and prompt. Get them in the fabric of the team ASAP.
There'll be so much more context in the book, but case in point, if I can just indulge, we have just this week confirmed in our clinic, because, one of the things that I'm super proud of Clinic Mastery is that we're all so much boots on the ground. We're in the trenches doing it. And so for those unfamiliar, I run my own clinic. I go to physio practice, 3 locations in the Hunter of New South Wales. And we just hired an exercise physiologist. They confirmed their acceptance of the position on Monday. We get them to fill in a form with some really interesting questions around this topic of enrollment and attracting team members. We enroll them by not just their tax file number and super details, but tell us about your most memorable birthday gift, and what's your favorite bottle of wine, what's your Sunday morning coffee order. And so today being Tuesday, less than 24 hours after they've accepted the role, we've ordered their favorite bottle of wine to be delivered as part of a welcome pack to their house, because we're in lockdown. So that prompt is so vital. That's personalized around Semi-Sauv Blanc, which is a great Hunter Valley varietal up here in the wine. So
plugging locals,
mate, I'm all about local. So yes, enrollment is such a key around personalized and prompt in attracting ideal team members, and the book will be so much richer with content. In the next episode, Ben, I'd love to get your take on the second component of team. So we've talked about attracting team. We then want to talk about how we mentor and nurture our team in the coming episodes. So that's been super insightful around the team degree for the Grow Your Clinic book. Hey.
Awesome. I know that this is such an important thing for people growing their clinic, that they need more of the right team members to join. So as much as you might have a pain point right now to fill a position, play the long game and set things up, it's a worthwhile thing to do.
And as always, folks, we want to keep it real. We want to be outcomes focused. And so the action from this episode would be to consider your attraction ecosystem for attracting ideal team members to your clinic. And what's the one subtle but meaningful progression you could make in your attraction ecosystem. Ben Lynch, it's been real. Thank you for joining me for another episode.
Thank you.
Folks, as always, head over to clinicmastery.com/podcast for the notes, links. You can get in touch. You can do the Assess Your Clinic scorecard. You can reach out if you need help, or you can just indulge yourself in a little bit of content. As always, thank you for joining us. Can't wait to bring you another episode again really soon. Bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in to the Grow Your Clinic podcast. To find out more about past episodes or how we can help you, head to www.clinicmastery.com/podcast. And please remember to rate and review us on your podcast player of choice. See you on the next episode.